You're watching the JJ Podcast.
Mental health is a significant concern in Australia, with over 3,000 people dying by suicide each year. This is an average of 9 deaths per day, 75% of whom are men. Mental health is a key component of overall well-being, and its impact on individuals, families, and communities is substantial. Awareness of this issue has never been greater, but preventative action is needed, and government funding at both state and federal levels is not adequate. We met with Gus Worland, founder of Gotcha4Life, to find out more.
Well, Gus Worland, thank you so much for coming and talking to us today. We really appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure, Jamie and Jamie.
Yeah, makes it nice and easy.
Yes.
Now, let's just go right back to the start, Gussie, and just tell us about Gotcha4Life, how it all started. Because I know it was established in 2017, but the story behind it and why you did it.
So in 2016, I was brave enough, I suppose, one morning as I was driving into the radio show that I was on at the time on Triple M called The Grill Team, to in the production meeting at 4:30, I went, I want to talk about something that I never really spoke about before. It wasn't my role to be that guy. I was more of the guy they bounced off. But I thought, I want to bring this topic up. And it was my friend who took his own life on the day that his third and final child finished his HSC. And I used to scream at the sky, get drunk on the anniversary, and never really spoke about it. But one morning I decided to be brave enough to ask for a bit of time on our show. And what happened was the boys said, let's do it in the best possible time, just after the 8 o'clock news. Most people are listening and we'll just let you go. Okay, so that happened. I chatted. It got quite emotional. At the end of the break, we went to a song. The boys gave me a hug and we went, right, what's next? Well, the producer then walked in and said, well, every line's flashing. Everyone is ringing up to say, I've got a story too. And that made me realise how many people worry alone and they don't feel like they've got permission to talk about stuff that, you know, we just sort of lock away and go, oh, it's all a bit too hard. I don't know how to start that conversation. Man up, shut up, that type of scenario. So I came back home and I said to Vicky, how many people are worrying alone? And I got a phone call from a TV maker who said, I've just got a grant from Movember and I want to do a documentary around mental health in Australia, especially with men. Would you be interested in hosting it? And I didn't quite know what that was. And I went, I'd love to have a conversation. Well, 2 weeks into filming, I went, well, I don't have to be paid for this. And this is going to be something I love. And we did that show. It went really well. It's still available on ABC iView. We've had 140 million views now. We gave it away to the world through COVID. And at the end of that, Vix and I decided to start Gotcha4Life, which is now 9 years old and $23 million raised. And we are trying to build the mental fitness and the emotional muscle of Aussies. And it's become a little bit more than just Australia now, because I did a TED Talk. So that's I did a couple of talks just last month in Boston and New York. Yeah, so it's exciting and it's now obviously taken over our lives. And I don't do radio anymore and just committed to Gotcha.
So we know with the statistics, it's 9 people every day lose their life to suicide. And when you break it down, it's 7 men, 2 women. And when you first established Gotcha, it was very much around just focusing on men's mental fitness. How soon into it was it when you realised, actually, no, this is something we need to open up to everyone? And it's not just adults, it's also now in the preventative space for the primary school age children.
For us, Jamie, it was men, because men are 75%, like you said, the 7 of the 9. Plus, I had gone on this journey about my friend, and the show that I'd just come off was called Man Up. So it just seemed to be, there seemed to be a lot of stuff for the ladies and not so much stuff for the guys. So that's where we started. But I reckon 3 or 4 years in, we really then, you know what, this is everyone. Because the stat that you haven't mentioned yet, and this is the one that really knocks me for 6, is that every 8 minutes someone attempts in Australia. So when I talk about the stats, it's 7-2 in every 8 minutes. And the every 8 minutes is never really spoken about because they could be numbers, but they aren't, because thank God they've been unsuccessful. So most of those are women, are those attempts.
That's what I was just about to say. That's where it reverses, right? That you're 70%, you're 70-30 of going from those actually completing suicide is men, whereas the ones claiming to have the depression, I suppose, is highly women.
That's right. You know, and it's cry for help a lot of the time when you look into it. But every case is obviously individual. But when men decide to do it, they tend to really do it.
Yeah.
There's no coming back.
Yeah.
So it was really clear, like you said, that this is a human issue. It's not a gender issue. It's a human issue. So what can we do to make sure we look after everyone? And simplicating the way that we talk. Like, we just want to be really simple and less clinical.
Yeah.
Find someone in your life you can talk to, warts and all. Learn how to stick your hand up and ask for help. How do you do that? And if that's the case, then you're not worrying alone. If you're not worrying alone, then you're more likely to get through the stuff that life throws at you. So if you just talk about Gotcha4Life in that, it's quite a simple process. But of course, it's difficult then to put into play. But we're trying to make it as simple as possible.
And also, I guess, changing the way that the older generation potentially have been used to speaking to one another. And I use examples of things like the name of your documentary, Man Up, or, you know, stop crying, get up, you're okay, and
Don't be a girl,
all
all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it's basically retraining people to start saying, no, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to cry, and making sure that it's okay to not be okay, and share your feelings.
Feel the feels. And that's why the book was Boys Don't Cry. Then you crossed out the NT, Boys Do Cry, because it's just such an old-fashioned way of doing it. And thinking that way has given us this issue. Number one way to die if you're a young Australian male is suicide. So why would we keep that process up when we've got that result coming out the other way? So, but I remember talking to my dad about this when I started it, and he just sort of sat there for a while listening to me. And of course, I'm passionate and I'm upbeat, and I'm like, we're going to change the world and stuff. And he just goes, you are set up to fail. Like, I know you're going to do good, but you will never, ever truly get the zero suicides, because this is going to take generations, because it's taken generations to get where we are. So I know what he meant, but I felt he was a bit defeatist at the time. Yeah. And of course, he's very proud of me and the work that we do, but you've worked enough with us, Jamie, to know that you can go into a room and it's super emotional. And you carry each of those moments, presentations, visits to school with you all the time. So I know what Dad means. It's like, at some time, when are we going to find, you know, that little sweet spot where we really do make a difference? And of course, just when you feel like you've got nothing left, someone will come up to you at the local supermarket and go, mate, I saw your documentary. I didn't know who you were. I've now followed you a bit. Oh, mate, you've helped me so much. Or someone goes, I watched your show and now I'm alive, and I wouldn't have been alive. And then that just gives you all that energy again.
In the episode I was listening to this morning of the podcast that I told you about during COVID, you mentioned that there was one thing about getting awareness out there, but we're at a stage now where there's so much awareness is not the issue.
That's right.
If you don't know that there's a mental health issue in this country, like, you've been living under a rock, because it's so, and from primary school now, you know, they know what a mental health condition is or what mental health concerns are. My question to you is, now that the awareness is so out there and awareness is no longer the issue, education, I suppose, on getting through it. Diagnosis is not the problem now. I think people more than ever are willing to say, I suffer depression, I don't sleep well, I think about self-harm, or I've attempted self-harm, etc. Where is the strategy now, I suppose, to getting through that, to coming out the other end?
Yeah. So there's so much money and focus put on that crisis. And crisis could be that anxiety, that depression and so forth. It's more where Gotcha4Life sits, because there's so many good people that do crisis. Where we sit is prevention, building emotional muscle, building mental fitness, calling it mental fitness, not mental health, giving it a positive conversation around something that, has been traditionally very awkward. So that's where we sit, going into primary schools, as Jamie said, to say, right, what is a mentally fit primary school? What is a mentally fit senior school? What's a mentally fit workplace, sporting club, or whatever? And that is working on this emotional muscle, and I'm pointing at my head here for people that aren't looking at us at the moment. That emotional muscle that is so bloody powerful, that gets you to do things you shouldn't do, stops you doing things that you should do, that muscle needs to be worked and needs to be trained. So it's putting that on it is where we come from, because the Lifelines and the Beyond Blues and the research that's done by Black Dog and stuff is brilliant. And they get well funded and they get well looked after and so forth. So what I want is more people to work in the preventative space.
Yes, absolutely.
And if I had what we do at high schools that I did when I was at school, would be fantastic. But even the primary schools program now, I love it. when you go to these primary schools and you see these little ones coming up with a theme tune or doing a mental fitness exercise and all looking after each other and giving each other hugs and feeling all the feels, that just absolutely is brilliant, not only for those kids, but hopefully for the parents and the carers to see, oh, perhaps I could be a little bit better at that. Because like Jamie said, these oldies are so stuck in their own ways, and this is where a little one's going to actually teach the older ones rather than the other way around.
Yeah.
Well, as you said, it's now that generational change. So starting now in the primary school level, we've both got primary school age children. Where does the funding come for something like this? Are you getting the schools to pay for the programs for you to come in, or we're getting government funding? How is this paid for? Because this is a really important program, Gus.
Absolutely.
And I think that, I've spoken to you multiple times about what my sons go through and get a little bit of advice. And so I just think it's such a crucial tool to be able to teach them at that young age.
Yeah.
So that it's just part of life. They just learn to build the mental fitness right from kindy, and then they've got the tools for their life.
That's right. Just imagine a little kid with a backpack at the end of year 6 going into year 7, where they have just be able to cope better with whatever gets thrown at them. At the moment, we might obviously have some subjects there. I mean, reading and writing, obviously mathematics are important, but there's a few subjects there that just aren't that important right now.
Yeah.
And especially in HSC and stuff, there's so many tick the box to get your ATAR. We should have mental fitness as a subject.
Yeah.
But in terms of getting back to your question around funding, we get bugger all from the government, and I've been literally banging on their doors for years. I just don't understand why you wouldn't put money into preventative stuff, firstly. So we get money from Chemist Warehouse, who give us over $1 million every June. They've got 25 products in their stores that we get a percentage of, and they've been our number one supporter. Shaw and Partners Financial Services have been brilliant for about 5 years for us now. They're our second biggest supporter. And then it's people like you who decide to do something like swim the English Channel and, raise over $100,000. Of course, why wouldn't you? Because they went, you know what, I want to do something. We've had other people that have, kayaked around Australia, or people that do marathons for us, or multiple marathons, or there's just mums and dads that put together a little fundraiser at their local sporting club. So all of that adds up to, in the last year or so, getting ourselves more money each year, but we're always short. The people that work for Gotcha could easily get so much more money out there. I mean, you realise when you work for a non-for-profit that you won't be paid what you're worth, and a lot of it is hard. But what they get paid for what they do is incredible, and that's why it's so hard to find good people to can work at Gotcha4Life. But we've got a staff now that work there, off, and we do the best we can, but we'd love a big chunk. Like I've said to the government, give us a runway of 3 to 5 years worth of money that we know's come in, so then we can just go to work.
Set the platform,
Because what I do at the moment is spend all this time literally like Oliver. I've got my hand out going more, please, more. And they look at me and go, mate, we already look after blah, blah, blah. And you go, good on you. Because the cancer research is required, all these other diseases. And if you're supporting something, good on you. Most people aren't. So you then go, no worries, just keep us in the back of your mind because some people do one charity for 1 year, then they'll change to the next year. Of course, if we become that yearly charity, I spend all year going, can you do us for 3 years? Because we need you for more than 1 year, which of course every charity's doing the same. I think there's 50,000 charities in Australia.
Wow.
So there's a lot. And some of them are only little and stuff, but they're all deserving of time and money. So it's very difficult.
The situation with parents that have young children, teenage children, even young adult children, what would you say to parents that have kids that are getting bullied at school, that are struggling with their studying, they're perhaps not getting the results they want to see?
Yeah.
What would you say?
Well, that's the most difficult thing, of course, when you love them so much and you just can't understand why someone else would be mean to them, But you've also got to remember, in terms of the bullying and stuff, straight up to the school, front foot, with the teachers, with the parents. We moved one of our kids out of school and to another school, and she did TAFE for a year. Then she found herself in year 5 and 6 in another school. So don't be afraid to do that and be on the front foot. But it's a difficult one because you want them to have some resilience and to get through it and stuff. But when it's so obvious and whatever, bang, that's good. School is not for everyone. That's the other thing. Like, our kids all learnt in different ways. My son is just tell me and I'll remember it. And he got 97 point something,
wow.
you know.
He's delightful, Jack, as well.
Yeah, he's a cracker. He's a cracker. He's living in England at the moment and in love and living his best life. And so very proud, and he's had a real go. The two girls, very different characters, never learnt the sort of blackboard left to right, top to bottom.
It's so reversed. Usually, like the academic side, the girls are usually exceeding the boys all the time.
Yeah.
It's another issue.
As a general
if it was
rule,
the other way around, they'd be screaming from the rooftops. But every single year, the girls do better than the boys.
Yeah,
and
that's
they
right.
seem to be okay with it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, my daughter's sort of learnt in a different way, and one's super confident, and one has found her confidence over time. And we were really, really keen to let them know that it really didn't matter what mark they got. So that's losing that old school attitude of like, well, what did you get? Yeah. What'd you get? It's like that seems to be that one number is like whether or not they've had a crack that term or that year or whatever. Vix and I very rarely even looked at their numbers in terms of their report. We would look at the what sort of kid were they, you know? Yeah. And you know if your kid's a good egg as well, you know, and you know if your kids are going through something that's a little bit dodgy, and there's other kids that might drag your kids down, and it's all about that group of mates and stuff that we were really keen about. I'm not a scholar at all. Vix was better than me, but we just decided that we just wanted the kids to be good kids. Yeah. And we've given them their 20s to go and find themselves. Now, that doesn't happen in most homes. In most homes, people want their kid to have worked out what they want or what trade they want, or why don't you do that because dad did that? Or why don't you do that because mum did that? We've given our kids their 20s to travel, support them, to get them through stuff. That has been an absolute godsend, you know, because they're out there seeing the world. You know, they've seen more places than I've seen. They always pop up with, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing, and they're doing it with their mates. And I'm like, well, life's just no dress rehearsal. The work that I do at Gotcha4Life, it's just made me realise there's so many people that just don't live a long life. So you've just got to have that. So what I'd say to most parents is take away that old school and go, just support your kid the best you possibly can. Doesn't mean you just let them lounge around and not get a job and that sort of stuff, because my kids have always worked, but they're having a crack, but they don't really know what they're doing. They're just bumbling from one thing to another, and that's pretty cool. But in terms of the primary school stuff, they're so little. You've just got to be there for them, and you've got to make sure that they know that you've got their back no matter what. You know,
I was listening to an Audible book the other day, and someone had written into this author and asked, what do we do with children? She had teenage girls, and she was very frightened about what they're about to see on social media, comparing themselves to others, the whole Instagram.
Girls can be so hard on each other too.
But hard on themselves. They see everyone online and think, I need to look like that. I need to, you know,
be doing
always polished and whatever. But his reply to her was, if you raise your child to know that they are loved, they are worthy, they are valued to their core, that stuff won't rock them. You know, that they'll see through it. And even myself, like with my 8-year-old boy, when I put him to bed every night, I've started saying, Mummy loves you. I always say I love him, but started to say, and I value you, and you are worthy, and like changing my words to make who knows if it'll sink in.
It will sink in.
Trying to make him realise he is adored. You know.
And that's good. And the safety factor that comes with those sort of words, and the fact that you are there to tuck him in and all that routine is great. Like if kids feel safe, then they'll be the best version of themselves. That's for sure. But just that feeling of love is just absolute. Someone said to me, just make sure your kids know they can always come home.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I've always said that to our kids, you know, always know. And it doesn't necessarily mean they have to physically get from wherever they are to their own family home, but just know they can come talk to mum, talk to dad. There are times where I talk to my girls and it's like, don't tell mum yet. I'm just getting my thoughts together and the words together. So I just wanted to get it all out. I'm like, great, no worries. And vice versa. As parents, you want to be part of your kids' village, you know, and the village is a huge part of what we do at Gotcha, is finding those people that you can talk to. I had a coffee this morning with a mate of mine. A few of the guys had to go early to work, so he and I were left together, and we had a 15-minute chat, and I'm about to text him now saying, mate, I needed that 15-minute chat so much. He has no idea what he did this morning. But he'll get that at some time this morning at his work. And he'll go, and I know it'll make him feel good. And I don't know what he'll be going through at that time, but it'll make him feel better. And I think we're really good in Australia at not necessarily having those conversations or sending that little text.
She'll
to
be
say,
right, mate.
Yeah.
It's literally one of my favourite things that you do, and I reckon you should tell the listeners about the exercise of texting the person.
Yeah.
And let everyone know that, because this is one of my favourite things that we would do in all of your workshops.
Yeah, it's a nice way to end the workshop and to realise how easy it is to connect with someone. So I ask people to write down a list of the people they love and adore. So that's your village. And a lot of the time people haven't written down that ever. And then I asked you to text someone in that village. And most people will go to their partner, right? It's a nice safe one. You know, you can talk about it that night, but you can brush it over as well if you're feeling a little bit anxious. But basically I asked them to send, I love you, I miss you, see you soon, kiss, hug, kiss, hug. And people will like giggle and like, oh God, they think I'm sending it to the wrong person. They think I'm going to have an affair. You know, we don't talk to each other this way. So all these discussions start happening. And then we sit in silence. We turn on your vibrates and your ding-dings on your phone, and we just wait for
the responses.
How
good.
Really
now, if a bloke sends it to a bloke, within 30 seconds, guaranteed phone call. What the is going on, brother?
Oh my gosh, that's so
and then or zzz, start coming through, and then people stand up. Because you're in a group, you feel confident. You go, oh, my old man has just said, what's this all about? You know, you sent it to the wrong person. Are you drunk? I thought you were at work. Like all these things. And we laugh. And at the end, I'm like, you've just done your first personal trainer as a mentally fit person. Like, this is just the start. So what do you want to do about it? Are you going to book again with a personal trainer, even though it was a bit irky? And tomorrow you might think, oh God, I'm not sure this is for me. Or will you push through? And the good thing about working on your mental fitness, it doesn't cost you a bean. We've got the mental fitness gym now, which is completely free. And a simple text message now. It's all bundled in your phone thing. So you can stay in contact properly with the people you love. And I remember the reason I came up with that idea, I had a really big crowd at the ICC, maybe 10 or 12,000 people. It was one of my first real chats and I was quite nervous. And I saw a guy on his phone when I was like in the middle of my chat. And I felt like a comedian. I was going to like go, oi, got some good stuff here, you know. But I thought, you know what, I said, to the bloke who's doing the tech, and he's like, oh, sorry, like that. I go, I know there's a lot of people here from different countries. It's all different time zones. Why don't we all get our phones out and send a text message? So I turned it into a positive. And now I use it all the time. And Jamie uses it and Speakers for Gotcha use it. And I hope other people do too, because it's such a simple way of just starting that conversation that's difficult. Because if you're going to have the conversation face to face, super hard. That's like being the marathon runner. As a mental fit person, it's going to take time to get there. So, but everyone can send a text.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's it. You know, if you've got a sore back, as we were talking about with Gus's sore back, you go see a physio. If you're feeling sick, you go to the doctor. And it's the same, that if you're not feeling mentally well, then we build our mental fitness and work on that muscle as well. And that's one of the things that I just love about that exercise. So I hope everyone that's listening can do it too, because I remember when I first did it and I sent it to one of my friends who's a really good friend of mine, a beautiful friend.
I'm totally expecting an I love you message from you later
She
today.
said, no, I speak to you every
you
day.
You didn't get that, Jamie?
No,
I didn't know Jamie then.
It's a little bit awkward.
It wasn't me.
And when she wrote back, she was like, are you okay? Is everything all right? And I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. She then wrote other stuff as well. But I actually got tears in my eyes because I felt so bad, because she's one of my best friends who I hadn't spoken to.
But she reacted that way. It wasn't normal to tell.
Yeah. All of a sudden you go, is everything okay? Because, or that's why the phone call happens as well, because someone thinks, I was up at Rio Tinto up in Weipa last week, and we threw that one out there, and a phone call came from the person's dad. And he kept and I said, pick the phone up. Let him know, Dad, I'm just doing a thing at work. I'll explain it to you tonight. But at the moment, if you don't pick up, he thinks you are perhaps doing something. So you need to clear that up. The point is, when someone phones you, you haven't had enough of these conversations then to think that it's anything but bad.
Yeah.
So that's on you as the son to make sure you talk to Dad a bit more. And I know it's not the coolest thing. Perhaps it's an awkward conversation or annoying, because parents can be annoying. And as parents, I know that I can be annoying, but it's only out of love, and it's all only out of the world that I've grown up in, and it's a bit different to theirs. So we lose a bit of connection, but just keep forging through, and eventually kids get old enough to understand. Like, tell me this, is it harder to walk up to someone and tell them how how you feel, or bury that and just walk up and have a BS, banter conversation? I mean, it's so much harder to be truthful. That's what we're trying to do. So it's actually harder to be mentally fit so it's the opposite of what we've been told. But of course, generations after generation is that's not how you become an Aussie mate. You know, she'll be right, mate, is how you cope.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. Don't burst into tears to everyone. Just find someone. That's why we called it Gotcha for Life, because you got to find people that have got you for life. They don't care. Like if Jamie came up to me and had a moment, I'm never going to judge her. I'm just going to sit there and listen and then say, right, do you need more help or did you just need to get that off your chest?
Yeah,
Because a lot of the time, Jamie will work it out herself. You just need to get it out of your head. And that's what happens.
And then just the follow-up, like whether it be hours later or days later, to go, you still feeling down about that?
Thinking about
or
you.
getting it off your chest was part of the problem.
Yeah, just send a heart.
Yeah.
You know, just the heart goes, I've thought about you, I've actioned something.
Yeah.
That's the point you mentioned earlier about in every podcast, it's like you got to action stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like we've got so many people that know that's going on.
There's no point of awareness without the action.
That's right. You know, and I'm never going to stop someone making people aware, of course, but the action that goes behind the awareness. So what can I get from you now that you've told me that I can be vulnerable?
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much for your time. It's really great.
It's awesome.
Pleasure.
Hopefully,
Thank you.
I was going to say hopefully we can spread the awareness, but no, hopefully we can spread the
taking
importance of
action.
mental fitness and get action. Everyone watching this can go, or listening to this can go and send that text message
Yes,
and start,
please do. It's a
start
really
to
good
actually
exercise.
who's in your circle that you can say, are you okay? Or let them know when you're not.
Work out your village. Who are they?
Absolutely.
And then send all of them that text. I love you. I miss you. See you soon. Kiss, hug, kiss, hug. Just send it.
Yeah.
And see what happens. See what conversations. You might be going okay, but someone you love might be going through something you just don't know.
That opens it up.
Right? So
Yeah.
it just opens up the chat. And the Mental Fitness Gym, completely free for all your listeners. If you look up Gotcha for Life, Mental Fitness Gym, download it wherever you get your apps. And every day you can get something sent to you if you want, or you can just go into it. Completely free, and that works this emotional muscle. So get onto
awesome,
that
Gus.
as well. No worries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you for listening to the JJ Podcast.